Hey, my name's Daniel Harris. I'm 31 years old, and I live in a small town just outside Scranton, Pennsylvania. I've been working as an auto mechanic since I was 17. You know, oil changes, brakes, transmissions, the stuff nobody notices until something breaks. It's not glamorous, but it's honest work. I've got a wife, Jenna, and 2 kids, Ellie and Caleb. They're 6 and 3. They're my whole world. That night started like any other. I just wrapped up a double shift at the shop. We had a last-minute transmission job that dragged on way past closing time. It was raining, cold, and I remember thinking how nice it would be to just crawl into bed next to Jenna. I got in my truck, tossed my coffee in the cup holder, and cranked the heat. The road home is mostly 2-lane highway. Quiet, just trees and the occasional set of headlights. I was tired, too tired, but I didn't want to admit it. I turned the radio up. Classic rock. My phone buzzed. It was Jenna. Drive safe. I'm still up. I smiled and texted back at the next red light. Almost home. Love you. Then, I saw headlights. Not mine, coming toward me. Fast. Way too fast. I remember slamming the brakes and hearing tires screech, but there was nowhere to go. The road was narrow, wet, and by the time I even registered what was happening, boom, that sound. It's not like in the movies. It's deeper, heavier, like the world just folds in on itself. Metal crunching, glass shattering, bones snapping, all at once. Everything went black, but I didn't die, at least not right away. I opened my eyes, barely. Everything was upside down. Rain was pouring through the broken windshield. I couldn't move. My legs were pinned. Something warm was running down the side of my face. Blood, I guess. I heard someone yelling. A man. We've got a pulse. He's alive. Another voice. Get the jaws. He's trapped. Then a firefighter leaned in through the passenger side. I'll never forget his face. Soaked, shaking, covered in dirt and sweat. He looked me straight in the eye and said, "Hey, don't fall asleep, man. You hear me? Stay awake." I tried to nod, but I couldn't feel my neck. My body was shutting down. And then it got weird. Everything got quiet. No more yelling. No more sirens. Just silence. And then I saw something I still can't explain. I was looking at myself. Not in a mirror, like from above. I could see my body slumped over the steering wheel, the first responders working on me, trying to stabilize my neck, cutting away the seatbelt. It was like I left my body. And then I started moving. Not walking, more like floating. Through the wreckage, past the flashing lights, above the ambulance. I could hear everything. The rain, the radios, the medics shouting vitals. And I remember thinking, is this it? Am I dead? I don't know how long that lasted. Seconds? Minutes? Next thing I knew, I was being slammed back into myself. Pain exploded through every inch of my body. Needles, lights, sirens, then darkness again. Only this time, there were no dreams. Just void. A stillness I can't explain. I don't know how to describe it, but it wasn't sleep. It wasn't peace either. It was like being frozen somewhere between life and death. They tell me now that my heart stopped for nearly a minute in the ambulance, that they had to revive me twice, that I was non-responsive the entire way to the hospital. But I remember one thing. As they wheeled me into the ER, someone said, quietly, but I heard it, "He's not going to make it. Get his family on the line." And then, nothing. I didn't know at the time, but while I was floating somewhere between this world and whatever that place was, my family was standing outside a glass ICU room, watching machines keep me alive. They told Jenna I had a severe traumatic brain injury, skull fractures, multiple broken ribs. My left lung had collapsed. But that wasn't even the worst part. The part that mattered most, my brain, wasn't responding. The swelling was so bad that the doctors had to induce a medical coma just to keep me from slipping away completely. The neurologist told her straight up, no sugarcoating. There's no meaningful brain activity right now. He's not breathing on his own. You need to prepare yourself. Jenna told me later that she collapsed when she heard that she dropped to her knees right there in the hallway, clutching her phone in one hand and our son's favorite blanket in the other. She didn't even cry, just sat there, shaking. They gave her the option to notify other family, to call a priest, to start thinking about end-of-life decisions. She told them no, not yet. That's what she said. Not yet. While all that was happening on the outside, inside, I was still somewhere else. It wasn't a dream. I know that much. I've had dreams before. This was different. It was quiet, not peaceful, just still. Like being underwater. Like being inside yourself with no sense of time. And then, every once in a while, I'd hear things. Whispers. Voices I recognized. Jenna mostly. Hey babe, it's me. I'm right here. I brought your favorite sweatshirt. Her voice cracked. I washed it twice. It still smells like the garage, though. Another time I heard my daughter, Ellie, her little voice near my head. Daddy, wake up now. Please? Mommy says you're sleeping, but I know you can hear me. It felt like someone tossing me a rope in the dark. And even though I couldn't grab it, not yet, I remember wanting to. I remember trying. But every time I tried to move, it felt like my body weighed 1,000 pounds. My eyes wouldn't open. My hands wouldn't twitch. It was like being buried alive. One afternoon, I later found out it was day 5. The attending nurse brought in a hospital chaplain. Jenna didn't ask for one. He just came in, holding a small leather Bible, and stood quietly at the end of my bed. Then he said, Daniel, I don't know if you can hear me, but I believe you can. And if you can, I want you to know you're not alone. Your wife loves you. Your children need you. And your story is not over. He prayed for me. Softly, calmly, not dramatic, just honest. I remember feeling warm for a moment, like something shifted, like I wasn't falling anymore. Outside the room, the numbers still looked bad. 0 voluntary response. No movement. No blink reflex. Flat EEG. Nearly no brainwave activity. A few of the doctors started talking to Jenna about making a decision. One of them, she was older, probably in her 60s, told her gently. Sometimes the kindest thing is to let go. But Jenna wasn't ready. She told them, through tears, he's not gone. I know if he was. They let her stay overnight again. The nurses brought in a cot. She refused. She stayed in the chair, holding my hand, eyes red, whispering stories to me. Memories. Promises. At some point that night, she fell asleep with her head on my chest, the part of me not covered in wires and tape. And that's when something happened. Inside, I saw light. I don't mean like a tunnel, or angels, or anything from a movie. I just saw this soft glow start to push through the dark. A faint warmth. I remember thinking, I know that smell. It was motor oil, and coffee, and Jenna shampoo. Then I heard someone say, just blink. That's all. Just blink if you can hear me. And for the first time in over a week, I felt a muscle move. Just one. My eyelid. Left side. I blinked. I didn't see it myself, obviously, but I've heard the story enough times now to feel like I did. It was 6:42 in the morning. Jenna was sitting by my side like she had been for days. Her eyes were half shut, her face pale from no sleep. One of the nurses came in, a woman named Andrea. She was quiet, kind, had a way of moving around without disturbing anything. She did what she did every morning, checked my vitals, adjusted the 4, made some notes on the chart. Then she leaned over and said, like she always did, "Good morning, Daniel. You got people waiting on you, buddy." And that's when Jenna saw it. Just a flicker, a tiny movement. My left eyelid moved. At first, she thought she imagined it. Maybe her eyes were playing tricks after so many sleepless nights. But then it happened again. A slow, uncertain blink. Andrea froze. "Daniel, can you hear me?" she asked. Nothing. Jenna leaned in. "Babe, it's me. Blink again if you can hear me." And I did. A single, unmistakable blink. The room exploded with activity. Andrea pressed the emergency button. 2 doctors rushed in. More nurses. Machines started beeping, lights flashing. They ran a neuro check. I failed almost everything. Couldn't squeeze hands. Couldn't follow light with my eyes. Couldn't move anything else. But I was aware. I was still inside. I remember the moment clearly. It was like waking up at the bottom of a lake. Everything above you is muffled, heavy, distant, but slowly you feel the surface. You start to rise. I heard Jenna crying. Not the kind of cry you hear at funerals. Not grief. Relief. Pure, overwhelming, body-shaking relief. She kept repeating, "I knew it. I knew you weren't gone. I knew you were still here." They didn't call it a miracle yet. Doctors don't like that word. They said it was a sign of returning neural function. that we needed to wait, to be cautious, to manage expectations. But Jenna didn't need any more signs. She'd already decided. From that point on, they started weaning me off the sedation slowly. They didn't want to shock my system. It was like trying to bring a frozen computer back to life, one process at a time. The next few days were a blur of confusion and pain. My body was wrecked, tubes in my throat, pain in my chest from the broken ribs, wires stuck all over me. I couldn't talk. I couldn't move much. But I could hear. I could think. The weirdest part? Time. It didn't feel like I'd been gone for 10 days. It felt like a long, strange dream that I was now trying to climb out of. The doctors tested me every few hours. They asked questions, showed me flashcards, shined lights in my eyes. I remember one doctor, young guy, serious eyes, holding up a picture of a red apple and saying, "Daniel, if you know what this is, blink twice." I blinked. Twice. Jenna laughed. The first real laugh since the accident. She said, "He's gonna come back. I don't care how long it takes, he's coming back." And she was right. 2 days after that, I moved my fingers, then my toes. I remember how hard it was, like trying to push through wet concrete. But every inch mattered. The nurses cheered. One of the techs gave me a thumbs up. I couldn't return it, but inside I smiled. Speech came last. My vocal cords were damaged from the intubation. When they finally took the tube out, my throat felt like sandpaper and fire. I could barely whisper. Jenna leaned in close. "Can you say anything?" she asked, eyes full of hope. I tried. Nothing. Then I tried again, and out came the roughest, weakest sound I've ever made. "Home." She broke. She put her forehead to mine and whispered, "Soon. I promise. Just keep fighting." And I did. Recovery wasn't heroic. It wasn't some dramatic, music-swelling montage like in the movies. It was slow, brutal, humbling. I spent 26 days in that hospital after I woke up. That's not counting the 10 I spent in a coma. I had to relearn almost everything. How to sit up, how to balance, how to swallow. They called it post-traumatic deconditioning, but to me it just felt like being trapped in someone else's body. A broken one. The physical therapy wing became my new home. At first, I couldn't even lift a spoon. I remember one nurse, Marcus, placing a foam ball in my hand and saying, "Just squeeze it. That's all you gotta do today." I tried. Nothing. But the next day, I squeezed it. Then came the walker. That damn walker. I hated it. The first time they stood me up, I almost blacked out. My knees buckled like they didn't belong to me. But Jenna was right there, holding my belt from behind, whispering, "One step. That's it. Just one." And I did it. One step turned into 5, then 10. By the third week, I was walking laps around the therapy room. Slow, dragging my left foot a little, but I was moving. Alive. There were setbacks too. A lung infection, high fevers, pain so bad it made me cry at night when no one was watching. There were moments I wanted to quit, moments I thought, what if I never feel normal again? But then I'd hear Caleb laugh on a video Jenna sent me, or see Ellie holding up a "Welcome home, soon daddy" sign during her FaceTime calls. And I kept going. The day they told me I could be discharged, I cried. Not because I was happy, because I was scared. Scared that I wouldn't know how to live outside the hospital anymore. That I wouldn't be the man I used to be. Jenna sat beside me and said, "You don't have to be who you were. You just have to be here." So I went home. Coming back wasn't easy either. Our front porch had a ramp now. My tools in the garage were dusty. The kids were taller. Everything was the same, but not. The first night back, I didn't sleep. Not really. I laid there listening to the hum of the fridge, the wind outside, Jenna breathing next to me. And I kept thinking, how am I still here? The next morning, I asked Jenna to take me out back. Just to sit. Just to feel the sun again. She helped me into a lawn chair. The kids came out. Kayla brought me a juice box like it was a special gift. Ellie sat on my lap and said, "You missed my dance recital." I told her, "I'll be at the next 10. That day, something shifted. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was living again. A few weeks later, I went back to the shop. I couldn't work yet, but I just wanted to walk through. The guys had kept my station clean. My name still hung on the wall above my locker. My boss, Frank, gave me the biggest hug and said, "Damn miracle, Harris." And maybe it was. Doctors still can't explain it. They use words like spontaneous neurological recovery or atypical brain response. But know what I felt. I know where I went. And I know what brought me back. Not just machines, not just medicine, love, faith, and something bigger than all of us. Jenna stood by me when no one else believed. She ignored the odds. She fought harder than anyone. A few months later, on our anniversary, I gave her a small box. Inside was the hospital bracelet I wore during those weeks, now wrapped around a tiny metal keychain engraved with the words, "You brought me back." Today, I still have some pain, some balance issues. My left arm's a little stiff. I go to therapy twice a week. I walk slower. I move different. But I'm here. I'm back. And every time I tuck my kids into bed or change the oil in my own car or hold Jenna's hand at church, I think back to that moment. The moment they told her to say goodbye. And I thank God she didn't.